Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
This is For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
Brought to you by the Health Services Authority. Caring people, quality service. Visit hsa.ky.
For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
Brought to you by Healthcare Pharmacy, where they care about your health. 2 locations, Governor Square and Grand Harbor. Refill and transfer prescriptions online. Call 947-8900 or visit healthcarepharmacy.ky. Also brought to you by Cayman Medical Center, Cayman's most awarded private medical clinic.
And UHealth, International University of Miami.
World-class healthcare in the heart of Miami.
The Light Room, your holistic sanctuary for physical and mental restoration, repair, and rejuvenation. The power that made the body heals the body. 38 Pasadora Place, Georgetown. Find us online at www.thelightroom.ky or call 938-HEAL.
For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
If you or your loved one is facing cancer, only Sylvester will stand firmly by your side at every step, from diagnosis through survivorship, providing you and your family peace of mind and assisting with everything you need before, during, and after your stay with us. Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center is South Florida's only NCI-designated cancer center and specializes in treating the most complex cancer cases. Your first-class cancer care is just a flight away. Learn more at sylvester.org.
Are you feeling anxious, overthinking, or stressed, struggling with sleep and focus? Your physical health may be suffering too. Research shows that stress directly impacts your well-being, making it harder for your body to heal. At the Lightroom, we're here to help you find your balance. Our unique facility promotes the theta brain state, which is your body's natural way to achieve restorative rest and repair. Visit us at the Lightroom, Pasadora Place in Georgetown, and let us guide you back to wellness, rediscovering tranquility and harmony, because you deserve to feel your best. Call us on 938-HEAL or book online at www.thelightroom.ky.
Hello and welcome to For the Health of It. I'll be interviewing Dr. Chantel Basson. She is the clinical lead for Alex Panton Foundation and the clinical psychologist for Alex's Place, which is part of the Health Service Authority. Thank you for being on For the Health of It.
Thank you so much for having me on again, Tara. I always love coming to talk with you.
And we enjoy having you as well. I get so many good feedback from your shows. We're going to be talking about self-compassion. So, what is self-compassion?
That's a great question, and I love how you introduced that. Because being able to really hear about self-compassion does take for us to be in the moment slightly regulated. So taking a deep breath and sighing out is such great advice. So self-compassion is essentially the way that we talk to ourselves. It's how our inner voice talks to us in our everyday moments, but more importantly, in our harder moments. So the hardest time to be self-compassionate is when we've made a mistake, or we have done something that we're not proud of. And the way that we then talk to ourselves says everything about how we've been treated growing up and how we treat ourselves because of that.
Wow, I really did not realize that was part of self-compassion. I thought, well, I know the dots are the way you talk to yourself. If it's harsh, then, you know, all the language about that internal chatter. But I didn't realize, in a way, that's all part of self-care. So thanks for clearing that up. And how does this compassion, self-compassion, that talk, that harsh talk, how does that affect your self-esteem and self-care?
Well, it's everything, actually. The way we talk to ourselves is, in essence, who we are. So if we say to ourselves, this was my inner voice, you're an idiot, then that's what we feel we're worth. We are basically treating ourselves in a way that we feel we are worth. And if we just take a moment to think about that, if we're talking to ourselves negatively, you're an idiot, what were you thinking? Then we're saying to ourselves, you're worth nothing. You're worth nothing to me, you're worth nothing to anybody else. That's what we're saying to ourselves. And the problem is that our inner voice doesn't come from nowhere. We develop our inner voice based on how we're spoken to as children. So my inner voice, that you're an idiot, actually comes from my father. So I grew up in a family that, you know this, Tara, we've spoken about this before, and I grew up in a family where it was hard to get connection and acceptance and belonging. I was the second child. My parents had a very rough relationship. They definitely did not have the emotional space for a second child, and I felt the full brunt of that. And my father in particular was very harsh verbally. He had very little time and space, and he could show love, but it was very few and far between. And so when I made mistakes, and I made a lot of them, I was a very clumsy child. I was very awkward, whereas my sister did extraordinarily well. So it was really tough. And so I would often get called an idiot. What were you doing? You're an idiot. How stupid were the words he would use. And of course I internalized those. So my inner voice became, what an idiot. You're an idiot. How could you be so stupid? We all have that to some extent, some far, far worse than I have experienced.
Yeah, and, you know, that permeates then how you treat other people.
Oh, yeah.
How you view the world, whether you're valuable. And you project that too. And that's why I think so many women in particular, and I'm sure men too, so please don't think this is for women only, they then accept substandard relationships, lower pay jobs that they do way more work than they should.
Yeah.
We don't set boundaries until we reach burnout or something insane. Some major event has happened. So thanks for really clearing that up. What do we do?
Whilst a negative inner voice is kind of more normal, I suppose I would say, most people will have a relatively negative inner voice because of the way we have been raised, but also from an evolutionary perspective, kind of historically, it makes more sense because it's kind of survival. Our brain talks to us negatively, don't do that, be careful, or don't do that again, or that was close. It talks to us like that because that's survival. There isn't really any kind of historical benefit from us having a positive inner voice. And so actually what that means is that we have to practice it. We have to learn it, and then we have to practice it. And I'm going to give some of my own examples because I've learned self-compassion. So I'm now in my late 40s. And I started on my journey of self-compassion in my early 40s. It took me until I was about 40 to really start learning what this was, what is compassion and self-compassion. And I came to it through leadership. I was in healthcare leadership in the UK, and I heard about this thing called compassionate leadership, and I fell in love with it. And because of that, I started to learn about self-compassion. And I realised that if I was going to really be compassionate towards others and non-judgmental, I had to be self-compassionate first. Because you are absolutely right in what you said. You can't be compassionate truly towards others unless you're compassionate to yourself. If we're judging ourselves, we're naturally judging others. So we have to learn it and practice it. And I'm going to give an example. So I came to my self-compassion journey through my driving. I'm not a good driver, Tara. Anybody sees me out on the road, I have a grey Kona. Stay clear of me, because I'm in my own world when I'm driving. That's where I'm doing all of my thinking. Okay, so I'm not concentrating. And my husband kisses the ground when he gets out of the car with me. I very rarely drive him around. Okay, so I often miss my turnings because I'm in my own world.
Okay.
And I used to miss a turning, and then I'd be saying to myself, oh, you're an idiot. You've done it again. Okay. And I started to catch myself. And I was driving out somewhere one morning, and I missed my turn. I was like, oh, you're an idiot, Chantal. And I caught myself and I said, Chantal, you are not an idiot. You've missed your turning. Like, hundreds of people every day miss their turnings. It's okay to miss your turning. Like, nothing bad has happened here. Yeah, you have to go around to the next roundabout and back.
Yeah.
It's no big thing. You're a good human. And missing your turning does not make you an idiot. You know,
No,
because
it
of course,
doesn't.
you're going to agree with me. Of course, it doesn't make me an idiot. And so I really started to pick up on those moments. And then once I'd got used to practicing that in the smaller moments, I started to practice it in the bigger moments, the moments where I'm really making mistakes, because I make big mistakes too, and I make them all the time. And so when I make a big mistake and I say to myself, okay, Chantal, you've made a mistake. It's not great to have made that mistake. That it wasn't intentional. You know, making this mistake does not make you a bad human. You know, because everybody makes mistakes and everyone makes big mistakes. And that is okay. So you're a great human with many strengths is then what I've learnt to say to myself. And trust me, Tara, that's taken a lot for me to get there and to start believing myself. So that is really what self-compassion sounds like.
How has that helped your relationship with your children and in the leadership position now? How has that helped you, that mindset of more being compassionate to yourself and to other, that leads to more compassion to other people? Have you noticed a difference?
I've noticed a massive difference. So things like my kids, for example, kids spill things a lot. They knock things over, they break things. It's just very natural. And so we have a saying in our household, it's no big thing, Bing. It comes from a cartoon called Bing. Mm-hmm. And there was a saying in that, no big thing, Bing. And we really took that on, my husband and I, as kind of part of being really compassionate to ourselves. But you can see the parallel. When I make a mistake, I'm kind of saying to myself, it's no big thing, Bing. Mm-hmm. And so that is my mantra then with my children. When they make a mistake, let's say one of them's melted down, right, and slammed the door and shouted, I hate you. You know, as children do, they will do that. Mine do too. And so when they come out of their room again and they kind of look at me with those eyes to say, do you still love me? And I will say, yeah, absolutely, I still love you. Of course I do. There's nothing you can do that's going to make me love you any less. It's no big thing, Bing. If there's some accountability to be taken, we take this compassion and we use it to create compassionate accountability. And then the question that we need as parents or as anybody is, what do we need to do about it? Or what do you need to do about it? So let's say something's been broken in anger. Okay, let's say this hasn't happened, but let's say my daughter threw something and it broke. Okay, in anger. We both know that would not be okay. That behaviour is not acceptable. It doesn't mean I love her any less, and I'm still going to tell her I love you so much. It's no big thing, Bing. Or I'm going to say, you know, we all make mistakes. We've all been there. Me too. Okay, but I'm also going to say to her, was it okay to have thrown that? She's going to say, no, Mummy. I'm going to say, no, that's right, it's not okay. What do you need to do about it? And the answer to that is either going to be save your pocket money to buy a new whatever it was, you know, or write a letter of apology to whoever it is you need to write to. The action has got to match the action. The accountability's got to match the action. Okay, but it allows us to help our children to take accountability without shame.
Yes, and I see with children is when they've been brought up in that shame sort of environment, they can't tell the truth, but they can't accept responsibility. They lie, they deflect, they get angry very, very quickly, because the ability to accept responsibility or accountability is not there, because it makes them come across as I'm wrong, as opposed to the situation that we are currently in. My actions are wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So by doing this, it must have been a game changer.
Yeah, massively.
And in Cayman, I think one of the things that I see a lot is people not feeling psychologically safe.
Yeah.
And this is part of it, isn't it?
It's a huge part of it. And it doesn't pass me by that we have here just huge reams of people who are heavily traumatized, grown-ups, parents who have never been looked after in the way that they needed, who've never had that compassion and care, grandparents who've never had it. And so it's very, very difficult then to learn and to do something different. So when we start with self-compassion, which is why I guess we're talking about this first, it helps us to then be compassionate in all areas of our lives. And we know that's going to help our children, because you're right, shame, it makes us hide. It's a hiding feeling. We hide our shame and we hide our behaviour that creates shame. And so we lie. Lying is a shame behaviour. And there is nothing like lying to just push a parent's button. Okay, I hate lying as a parent. Every parent I've ever spoken to hates lying behaviour, but lying is based in shame. And so if you want to reduce lying behaviour, we have to reduce the shame. We have to allow a child to feel you are an awesome human. You're an amazing individual worthy of all of the time that I can give you. But this behaviour is not acceptable. What do you need to do about it?
How can someone begin to cultivate self-compassion in their daily life?
It's really hard, and I would start with just one self-compassion mantra. So pick something that you find yourself berating yourself about all the time. Okay, that might be something like the way you do a particular thing, like for me, my driving. It might be like when you look in the mirror, you may berate yourself for what you see. So many women do that. So many women I know will look at themselves in the mirror and do that. So pick one thing and create a self-compassion mantra. And that sounds like you start with the thing. So let's say it's mistakes that you've made or are making. Let's say it's a mistake. So you start with something like you've made a mistake. Or if you're looking in the mirror, okay, you don't like so much what you see. Okay. And then you move into the first piece of the compassion, which is everybody makes mistakes. You're normalizing it for yourself. Everyone does that. Most women look in the mirror and see something they don't like. Okay. And then you move into it's okay. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to find it hard to look at and love everything about yourself when you look in the mirror. Okay. And then we move into the bit where we find something about ourselves. We say something about ourselves which is true, which we can start to believe. Okay. Which is like, I don't know. See, I even struggle to think about it myself because this is hard. So I've made mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. It doesn't make you a bad human to make mistakes. You're a good human. So it's the truth bit. It doesn't make you a bad human to make mistakes.
So you keep coming back to remind yourself that you're a good human being.
Yeah.
Even though you've made a mistake.
Yeah.
It's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. We don't live in a perfect world. And I've been reading something a lot recently. This generation in particular, they're failing to launch, coming out into the world. They're putting it down because they have to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So everything has to be perfect before they'll send a job application off, or whatever the situation is. Mm-hmm. Is that how do you address children or the the adults of this generation like that?
That's a really tough one. And it's about understanding, I think, that perfection can't exist. So really what perfection is fear of rejection. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to find every single way possible for you not to reject me, is what perfection is. And we're not in control of that. As if I'm a young person and I want to send you a job application, Tara, I'm not in control of whether you accept it or not. You're in control of that. I'm only in control of what I'm doing on my job kind So when we're procrastinating, when we're trying to make it perfect, we're just showing our very natural fear. And the kind of inability to send that is like the crippling fear. It's that I can't bear the idea of being rejected by you, or the idea that I might be rejected. And so really for parents with a young person, it's talking to them about it's really horrible feeling if you get rejected. It's like the worst, and the really hard thing is there only so much you can do, for that. You're not in control of all of that.
No.
What can I do to help you send that off and then be with you while you wait? And be with you if you do experience rejection. How are we going to manage that together? What do we need to do? Because it happens to us all the time, So it's really understanding that perfection is fear.
So you have this new thing that you've been doing on Facebook, Sparkling Moments.
Yeah.
Is this part of your self-care?
Absolutely. It's part of my self-care, but also trying to spread that. So we often think that we don't want the mundanity. We get bogged down by the mundanities of everyday life. And we see everybody else on Instagram looking like they're living perfection when they are absolutely not. And so I was posting a picture of my daughter on Instagram, and it was a really beautiful picture. And I thought I would never want anyone to think that my life was this perfect. Because it's full of daily mundanities, it's full of flaws, it's full of mistakes, it's full of getting it wrong, it's full of stuff that I don't want to do, it's full of boredom, okay, as well as beautiful moments. And I call these sparkling moments that come straight from family therapy. And so the sparkling moments are the moments in our daily mundanity that just make that hour, that day, feel like it was better, feel like it was lovely. So I was at Run Point with my daughter. I'd had a tough week at work. I took this picture of her. It was a beautiful picture, and I posted it. And I said, don't be fooled by this. It's a beautiful picture, and my daughter looks amazing, but this is a sparkling moment in the rest of the mundanity that I'm dealing with. And so I've started posting about sparkling moments. And it's absolutely about self-care for me and for others, because it's everybody knowing that we're all in this together.
I know the answer, but I think for people who are listening out there, how does the lack of self-compassion attribute to stress?
I mean, everything is the answer to that. So if we're having a really tough time at work, let's say we don't have compassion from our boss, or we've got deadlines looming and it's extremely difficult, if we're then talking to ourselves negatively as well, then that's going to be impacting our mental health and our emotional well-being. On every level, it's going to make it harder for us to function as an individual in our daily life. It's going to make the foster shop harder. It's going to make parenting harder, as well as the job. It's honestly going to impact you everywhere. So if we're using self-compassion, we are lifting the pressure that we put on ourselves to get things perfect. I am saying to myself, and I'm saying to everybody else, I am completely imperfect. I am extraordinarily flawed, and I'm okay with that.
What are some tips or exercises that our listeners can do to develop greater self-compassion?
So there's the developing the self-compassion statement that I talked through. There's finding the small moments in your day where you do say something unpleasant to yourself. And then there's using that self-compassion mantra. to talk to yourself very kindly, like your best friend would. And then there's the sparkling moments, looking out for your sparkling moments in a day, and just knowing that they are making your day a little bit better. And then there is a nice grounding technique that people can do. So I'll talk you through it. I'm going to invite you to do it with me, Tara. So you're going to have to put both feet on the floor. And we start with our feet on the floor because kind of that's our grounding. So we feel our feet on the floor. We feel kind of our toes in our shoes. If we've got socks on, maybe where our socks are touching our feet. So we feel our feet on the floor. We feel our bum in the chair. You can give it a wiggle. It's okay to giggle. Okay.
I like that.
Then we feel our back against the cushion.
Mm-hmm.
We breathe in. We bring our shoulders up, round, back and down. We breathe out. And we rub our lips together like we've just put lip balm on.
Mm.
So I'm going to take you through that now a couple of times just so you can feel and hear it. Okay. So I'm going to close my eyes and then you know I'm not looking at you. So you put your feet on the floor. We feel our bum in the chair. We feel our back against the cushion. We breathe in. Shoulders up, round, back and down. We breathe out. And lip balm. We feel our feet on the floor. We feel our bum in the chair. We feel our back against the cushion. We breathe in. Shoulders up, round, back and down. We breathe out. And lip balm. So what we're doing in that moment is we are bringing our heart rate down. The way we can bring more self-compassion in is that when we breathe out, we can say something kind to ourselves. Something like, I'm a worthwhile human. This will pass. This doesn't make me a bad person. I'm a good person. We can say anything. And many people ask me, well, what if you've done something really bad? You know, can you still use self-compassion? And what I would say is, if somebody has really struggled with their behaviour in society, is they're the people who probably need to be the most self-compassionate, especially if they're the people who are being the most self-depreciative.
Okay. I can see that by doing something like practicing self-compassion, automatically because they would have the self-worth and the self-esteem, this could help with setting boundaries.
Oh yeah.
And having those healthy relationships.
It's so important. Setting boundaries is very, very difficult for us, and especially for women.
Yeah.
Setting boundaries. So when we're self-compassionate to ourselves, we develop more confidence. And then when we say no to something and we feel really bad about it, then we use self-compassion. So it kind of, first of all, it helps us to set the boundaries, but then it helps us to scoop up how we feel after. And so it's like a self-compassion sandwich.
I love that. I mean, one of the courses that I facilitate at the chamber, it's called High Road Leadership, from John Maxwell's recent book. And it was so revealing to me when he said it. If you judge yourself harshly and you judge others harshly, then basically you're harsh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and this is, he talks about leadership. If you judge yourself harshly and you give compassion to other people, you basically become like a doormat.
That's right.
Okay. If you give grace to yourself, but not to the other person, your behavior then is more narcissistic.
Mm-hmm.
So if you, the blend is to find give grace to yourself and give grace to your other people, and that's high road leadership.
Absolutely.
So, and that was so eloquently put for me, you know.
Yeah.
I never saw it quite so. And I was like, oh my gosh, because that internal, you're an idiot, you're not good enough, you know, whatever it is people say to each other. But would you like to, we come to the end of our interview, would you like to add anything? Okay.
I think people sometimes worry about compassion because they think it's about letting everything go. And I just want to reiterate that it absolutely isn't. That with compassion comes accountability. And it's about encouraging, when we're using compassion for ourselves, it's about encouraging accountability for ourselves. And when we're using with others, it's about encouraging accountability in others.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Passan. We've been talking about self-compassion, and we are moving you to the life you want.
There's nothing more important than your health, and seeking expert healthcare with physicians you can trust is what you deserve. UHealth, the University of Miami Health System, offers peace of mind to you and your family with a first-class experience. Our patient coordinators assist with everything you need before, during, and after your stay with us. As South Florida's only academic-based health system, UHealth offers cutting-edge treatment, compassionate care, and life-changing results just a flight away. Learn more at umiamihealth.org/international.
Are you feeling anxious, overthinking, or stressed, struggling with sleep and focus? Your physical health may be suffering too. Research shows that stress directly impacts your well-being, making it harder for your body to heal. At the Lightroom, we're here to help you find your balance. Our unique facility promotes the theta brain state, which is your body's natural way to achieve restorative rest and repair. Visit us at the Lightroom, Pasadora Place in Georgetown, and let us guide you back to wellness, rediscovering tranquility and harmony, because you deserve to feel your best. Call us on 938-HEAL or book online at www.thelightroom.ky.
This is For the Health of It with Tara Bush. Brought to you by the Health Services Authority. Caring people, quality service. Visit hsa.ky.
For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
Brought to you by Healthcare Pharmacy, where they care about your health. 2 locations, Governor Square and Grand Harbor. Refill and transfer prescriptions online. Call 947-8900 or visit healthcarepharmacy.ky. Also brought to you by Cayman Medical Center, Cayman's most awarded private medical clinic.
And UHealth, International University of Miami.
World-class healthcare in the heart of Miami.
The Lightroom, your holistic sanctuary for physical and mental restoration, repair, and rejuvenation. The power that made the body heals the body. 38 Pasadora Place, Georgetown. Find us online at www.thelightroom.ky or call 938-HEAL.